Howdy friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome to a high-level game of StarCraft 2. Today, in the top left, as our red Zerg player playing for Team Kaisi Gaming, it is a Reynor. And in the bottom right, as our blue Terran player playing for Liquid, you've guessed right, it is Clem. Cool beans here, as the game on Moondance is kicking off with a quick hash first coming out of Reynor, since his first overlord across the map. We'll have to wait and see what Clem is going to do. Now, whenever you speak with Reynor, you're going to be made aware of the fact that he's not a huge fan of Moondance in this matchup. The reason for that is the many tank positions. The difficulty is to finish a Terran here because of the many little cliffs that you have going up and down location. Look at this. I think you can put a tank here, can't you? It's actually mental. Put like a depot behind it, you can't even attack it anymore. I wonder if this is something that should be done more often. Imagine that, you take this as your third base, then you put a tank here, build like an eBay next to it. Like, unless the Zerg gets like 12 Hydras, they're never going to be capable of killing it. I feel like walling in tanks is something that is underrated, and is probably quite good, and quite easy to do as well. I bet it is the future. I bet it is the future. We haven't seen it yet, but if in the next 6 months from now, Terrans will start walling in their tanks with buildings, you can all point back to this video and say that I invented it, because that is definitely what's going to be happening in the next 6 months. I'll be spreading this tank walling propaganda over the next few live tournaments that I'll be attending to the Terrans. You know, I'll put the seed in their brain. Now, usually if you put a seed in the brain of a Terran, there's just not enough fertile soil for it to truly start growing, but maybe we'll get lucky with one or two of the Terrans. We have some slightly more fertile soil in there. We'll have to wait and see. Alright, what's this Reaper doing? This Reaper isn't doing very much of anything. It's just pop, 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 pop. I wonder if Terrans should practice this with a metronome. You know what I mean? So there's obviously a certain cooldown timing on the Reaper, and you always want to hit the perfect stutter step. I bet practicing this with a metronome would really give you a good internal feeling of how to stutter step with Reapers. The crazy thing is that you have like different types of stutter steps for Reapers and for Marines. And also for Marines with stim and Marines without stim. So you need like to internalize 3 different tempos, which are the most important tempos for a Terran. I wonder if there are Terran players that did that. It wouldn't surprise me. I feel like this is the theoretical practice that works very well and no one actually does it. Probably because it's uber boring and no one really wants to do that. I bet it's worth it though. I should ask Clem about it if he ever did it. He has very, very solid Reaper control. Actually, Kalazur probably has better Reaper control. His Reaper control, like his stutter stepping, his micro back and forth, is insanely good. I wonder if that actually is worth it. I guess technically you could do the same thing with Stalkers, right? I mean, there's also some type of tempo there. It's one of these things, I feel like the deliberate practice on separate areas is something that is quite difficult sometimes in StarCraft 2 to think about. On how to exactly practice it, because nothing really is happening in a vacuum in some way. If you think of football, for example, you can quite easily, like, you can practice speed, you can practice, you can practice other things like the power of your shot, you can, the aiming of the accuracy of your shot, all of those type of things. As we see this Reaper being taken out, which is kind of frustrating. We'll get to that later once things get heat up a little more. Oh! Hold that thought, as we actually do have these cars running in. Yeah. Reynor in a very good position, and nice little split as well. The way that Reynor splits his drones is a little bit AI-like at times. Like, it is so fast and so accurate that it feels like there's some script in there every now and again. But yeah, what I was saying is that the deliberate practice in StarCraft 2 is a bit weird, because often none of these things by themselves are really that hard. Like, it's difficult because it's all being done at the same time. I guess you could still just practice these things individually. It's also really difficult to mimic in-game situations without a different person. So practicing by yourself is quite hard. Well, you could take 35 free kicks as a football player. You'd probably get better at free kicks. But you can't really micro against Ling Bane unless you have another person that is microing the Ling Bane for them, because we haven't figured out a way to make AIs micro like humans yet. So you can practice against that very consistently. Like, there are some maps where you can try it, but I don't know, they're not brilliant. Like the Marine Split Challenge and that type of stuff. Just not a huge fan of it, because they're often not very realistic scenarios. There's no tanks in there, there's no mines. It's either completely on or completely off creep. You need to spend a lot of time crafting a perfect practice map, to still get a very mediocre practice environment, I think. Which is just kind of a waste of time. It's one of the things that always bothered me. It's difficult to think about as well. If any of you have any thoughts on that, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm actually kind of curious. What do you think would constitute a good way of deliberate practice in StarCraft 2? As we're seeing this, we have a lot of Hellions popping in and out here. These two bench are going to get taken out by the Overseer that just showed up. Hellions continue moving in and out. This has been a good early game for Reynor, though. We can state that, right? If the units lost or the resources lost is almost favorable for Zerg, or probably is favorable because gas is a more valuable resource than minerals are, then 99 out of 100 times that means that the Zerg is just far ahead. Double Evo chambers on the way, 69 workers already out. Baneling speed coming in as well, 4th base being popped down. Wouldn't surprise me if we see a 5th coming out soon as well. Creep spread is, well, is Reynor-like, honestly. Which is definitely a compliment. Reynor, I think, out of every Zerg in the world, has the best creep spread when he's, you know, in the zone, or when he's on fire, or whatever you want to call it. He just has this flow state that he sometimes gets in, and he's just spreading creep like a madman. I mean, we're 6 minutes and 42 seconds into a game where there was heavy harass. Like, this was not 2 Hellions into a 16 Marine drop. This was 8 Hellions, this was 2 Banshees as well. Like, this was some heavy harass. And Reynor is past the halfway point at certain lanes of his creep spread. Actually, majority of his creep spread lanes are probably past the halfway point right now. And it's kind of crazy to think about. These links are going to start attacking a depot. They realize the 3rd base most likely has been taken in the far back. As if this was a 2-base all-in, it would be the latest possible ever 2-base all-in. Follow-up here for Clem is going to be this Hellbed push with a couple of mines mixed in as well. And he's going to attack at the only location where there actually isn't that much creep leading into it. That's going to be the 4th base. You could say that's a mistake out of Reynor, that was the 4th base rather than this being the 4th base, because it just makes it a little harder to defend without that much creep. Banelings with the Baneling speed moving in right now, as these Helbets are going to get taken out most likely. Ooh, the flank is a little bit late, but it's not going to matter as it will get cleaned up. Reynor floating a decent chunk of money here. Oh, poof! Actually, it was a decent mine shot still there in the end. Gets 2 Banes and what was it, like 2 links or something like that. Mine is going to get taken out. Another Baneling explodes on top of it. Not the ideal trades here for Reynor that he was dreaming of, but I think it is good enough. Planetary Fortress is in position and, well, will be defended at least temporarily by these reinforcements that are just chilling at home. This drop heads towards the left side. Funnily enough, Clem actually managing to get quite far ahead right now in supply. Of course, we see Reynor already at a very good drone count. Nice target fire on the Banes there. Love to see it. Picks up immediately and starts dropping into the far back base, where he probably has some time to heal up with those Marines. There's no real vision here in this dead space, which sucks. Really does suck for Reynor, because he doesn't know where they're going. He gambled correctly this time around, but perhaps in the future he will not. Double gases being taken on this 12 o'clock base right now, going up to 8 gases. And most likely a transition into Hive is pretty much inevitable at this point. Vipers, Hydras, all of those units are just going to be super useful for Reynor. Reynor who lost 20 workers, excuse me, what happened here? Was this a mine drop that I missed? Where? Must have been here somewhere. I don't quite know what happened, but I'm gonna guess it was a mine drop. Seeing 20 workers just go down like that. It actually is a huge drop in supply immediately. Ling Bane Micro not completely correct there out of Reynor. Losing some big chunks of his army, and Clem is actually fairly far ahead at this point. The only thing saving Reynor right now is the creep spread that he's built up in that early game and the first stage of the mid game as well. 2-2 is about to finish up for Clem, who's already started some Marauder production. The extra barracks with the tech labs are on the way right now as well. We have a 5th CC, actually 5th and a 6th CC coming in. So Clem is just really putting his foot on the pedal and saying, alright, it's go time right now. Just starting to build more and more CCs. On a high worker count as well on 78, and continues with this aggression. These drops are going to get picked up here. This is obviously such an annoying area for Reynor to deal with. He's not quite capable of dealing with it, to be quite honest. Creep has regressed a far amount, except for this side, but the middle creep, the top side creep, I mean close to the 3rd base, is also practically gone. 5th base is fairly safe when it comes to creep tumors, but that is about it. We do not have a Viper out on the map yet. We do have the Hive, no Adrenal Glands either, as this push needs to be dealt with. Lots of Banelings are being morphed in. There's only 12 Banelings on the map currently total. And that's not going to be enough to deal with this amount of mines, to be quite frank. Triple Vipers on the way as well. I'm starting to wonder if the initial transition into Viper is the correct one when you're playing against such a heavy mine composition, being Reynor in this case. I'd almost want to say no. Vipers are great against tanks, and they're also really useful against medevacs, don't get me wrong. I think it is very useful to have Vipers against these medevacs. The real question that I have though is, wouldn't you rather technical lurks versus such a heavy mine composition? Allowing yourself to fight against these mine marine marauder attacks with lurkers is going to be huge, obviously. And the Viper, it just doesn't have such a powerful impact on these fights as it would against marine marauder tank, where their blinding clouds are absolutely huge, obviously. Now ghosts are already being produced as well, which kind of is not the natural counter to Vipers, but it does well against the Viper. So yeah, I'm feeling like a quicker lurker transition might actually be slightly better here. This marine marauder mine, this has no medevacs, by the way. This is something that I've seen Clem do a little bit more lately, is when if he doesn't have enough medevacs, rather than saying, hey, I can't use this army, he still uses his army to deny creep on the edges and maybe get some mediocre trades, but at least it sends out like a third group on the map. Look at this. What Clem is doing here is the double drops. He has the right side drops. He still has this army as well. He's controlling everything, not necessarily at the same time, but separate from one another. So he has these medevacs in the dead space. As the parasitic bomb is going to show up here. His army is going in as well. Some nice first-person view here for Clem. Look at that. The switching between the two armies currently on creep. Both armies being on creep. It's kind of risky. Picks this up. Moves forward with this one. Are there any medevacs here? Yep, 3 medevacs. 4 medevacs about to show up. Mines are going to get some big connections as well. Vipers are out. 1, 2 get sniped there by these ghosts. This is a very funky ghost style, so different from what we see 99% of the Terrans play, who when they get ghost out, they pretty much forfeit the ability to be on the map. They say, okay, ghost, tanks, I'm sitting at home till the end of time. But Clem saying, no, actually, if I get a lot of mines, I deny a lot of creep, and I have Marauder Ghost in this army, a couple of mines as well, and I can actually just be out on the map and trade very well. Ghosts by themselves have great auto attack damage. They're pretty tanky as well, so they take a lot of hits against these Banes. The problem, of course, being is that they're also rather expensive, but it's basically just a better Marauder. So these little run-bys, these little attacks, become so powerful. Whenever an Overseer army moves in and they have to fly away, the Overseers will always get sniped here by the Ghosts. Just what we saw, that makes these mines even more powerful. And these mines are already so powerful. These bad boys are going to get exploded on by Reynor, who is back up to a decent bank, but has lost a lot of creep in return, which is painful to watch here. Sticking with that Hydra Link Bane composition for now, taking the top right side base as well, and really hasn't been capable all game long of dealing any counter damage whatsoever. Have to wait and see if that is going to continue here, as this is going to be the first real move out that Reynor has made in this game, where I'm like, okay, maybe we can do something here. Baneling count I don't think is quite big enough. Parasitic Bomb is going to get cast on these medevacs, which is a big deal. This planetary is going to stay alive. Links and Banes moving in, but this planetary in the back dealing so much damage. How many kills do we have on here? 13 kills on that planetary. Look at that Ghost surviving with like 8-9 HP. Pretty big deal there. So, such a tanky unit, the Ghost. Surprisingly tanky unit, because he looks a bit like a loser, you know. Weak body, just has a gun. But this guy is powerful by himself, you know. He has been working out to carry that massive gun of his. Pop, 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 pop. It's also faster than Marauders. Look at that. I didn't even know that. I guess once Marauders use their drugs, they speed up a little bit, but that makes sense, of course. Is Ghost the only bio unit? Is Ghost considered bio? I think so, right? It's the only bio unit that doesn't use drugs, I guess. Hellbats don't use drugs either. Very cool. Alright, maybe snipes? No snipes are needed here. Lurker then is on the way right now for Reynor, as the ghost count has grown significantly at this point. And Liberators are being mixed in as well. Oh, this is a flank attack. This is a flank attack. I'm not sure if this is enough though. A lot of Banes in the back, not here in time. The Banes from the left side also not here in time. Feels like at least a lot of these Liberators are going to get taken out. Parasitic Bombs being cast. Hydra's actually dealing some damage as well. Another Parasitic Bomb being cast. 3 Liberators have fallen already, and I think one more will go down. Maybe this bad boy dies as well. Yep, there we go. Will also get taken out. Don't quite believe that Reynor is going to be capable of attacking into here. But Reynor has a very different belief. He's going to move in and is actually getting a pretty decent trade right now. Look at that, more and more reinforcements running across the map as well. You absolutely love to see it. Liberator in the far right with 2 kills already. He's going to deny this base for a little longer. Are there any Vipers left remaining? Yep, there are 3. So that probably is good. I think it's probably good at least. Was that just a Cyclone that I saw being produced? What? Surely that's a misclick. I don't think the Cyclones were intentional here. Yeah, I'm not even sure which hotkey you pressed for that. Is it C hotkey? I don't even know which unit he wanted rather than the Cyclone. We must have pressed the C button twice rather than the D for the Widowmine or the Marauder. That's the only thing I can really imagine. Liberator gets cleaned up in the top right side. We finally have the Seismic Spines on the way as well. As here comes Reynor once more, not getting caught by any of these mines. Maybe these 2 bad boys though have something to say. Big hits there on these Baneling clumps. And Liberators in good positions as well. Oh, yo, taking out every single Hydralisk. And with the Parasitic Bomb makes it even worse. At the same time though, the mine count is getting lower and lower. And this base is maybe going to get taken out. Nah, Hydra count is not high enough. There's a lot of Ghosts still here. All of these fights are really scary for Reynor. And that's really the power of the Ghost, of course. Is whenever you don't crush a fight against Ghost, in the retreat you're always going to lose some expensive units. Whether that's Banelings, whether that's Lurkers, whether that's Hydras or Vipers. It doesn't really matter. You're going to lose them to the Snipe ability. Creep is gone. The Zerg Carpet has not been rolled out here for the Terran. And while usually you like having some type of red carpet, the purple carpet is one that Terran players are very happy to skip most of the time. Not the greatest split on these mines here in the back. I think 2 of those can get hit by just triple Banelings and will explode. But maybe there's just not enough Banelings right here. Overseers will take all of this out. Reynor's supply is dwindling a little bit right now as 2 Marauders and 2 Liberators secure that planetary for a second time. This is a largely off-creep fight. 2 Overseers remain. Is this going to be enough? Parasitic Bomb. We get a good abduct here. Was that 4 Ghosts? I think that might have just been 4 Ghosts in one of those medevacs. Either that or like 2 Ghosts, 2 Marauders. Definitely an expensive little loss there. A couple of mules are going to be dropped down here as we see 7 orbital commands on the map already. That means there's going to be a lot of mules available whenever a new base gets mined from. The gas count isn't necessarily that high, but there's a lot of active geysers still. So I guess you have 1 over here that is still mining. You have 1 in the main that is mining. It's like half in the natural. 2. I already lost track. Counting is like we're looking at like 10, 11 refineries. So I don't think gas is ever going to really be an issue. That was a huge mine hit as well there. I think that was like 14 kills at once or so. More mines are gonna get blown up here by the Banelings, but Reynor actually in a little bit of trouble. And I'm really, really curious what he believes the correct composition is against this. Because it feels so difficult. The moment your creep disappears to fight well with Hydra Link Bane is maybe the trick to not have a crappy mid game. Because otherwise you're just going to continuously get pushed here by these Liberators, by these Ghosts, by these mines. So difficult for the Zerg player to deal with. It is insane. All of these fights off creep. I don't think I've seen a single good off creep fight for Reynor, except the one where he managed to set up the flank here from the right side. Even that, I don't even think it was an efficient fight. It was a good fight for him because he gained some momentum, but it wasn't that efficient altogether. Double sensor towers here at, what is this, like the 5th base or so, or the 6th base maybe even. For Clem, has an orbital right next to the planetary as well. Lots of scans going down, and I think Clem is realizing that he is in a prime position to win this game right now. I mean, moving in with these Liberators. Oop, one of them gets abducted. Reynor practically out of cash. Well, I mean, it's a bad sign if a Terran player is on very high SCV against a rather low worker Reynor, or Zerg player in general, not just a Reynor. Which is a Zerg player in general. Because there's also still the orbitals, right? So the moment the mules start raining down, life really becomes difficult here for Reynor money-wise. Yeah, struggling to get some mining going as well. Can't really break this position. Lurker's going to get cleaned up as these Lynx and Hydras are moving forward right now. Couple of extra scans coming down. Did he just scan his own base? I guess there must have been a link burrowed or something along them lines. More links moving in right now, so Liberator will try and defend this position. I mean, eventually the links will die. There's a mine there as well, which could be helpful. I guess a couple of links. This Liberator's having a field day, but so are the links, taking out every single STV. Much would have preferred seeing a planetary over here. I don't think it's going to matter too much. Clem did lose a lot of workers here, and his income has dwindled significantly, has gone down the drain, down the gutter. And well, we'll have to wait and see how it's going to pan out right now, but all of these fights that he's taking are just so good. Look at that. You don't actually lose your bunch of the Liberators. Where's the rest of his army? A bunch of ghosts just randomly shooting an egg with a Hydra in it. Not quite sure if you want to be fighting eggs, mate. It's actually better to just wait till the Hydra pops and then shoot it. That way the Zerg also doesn't get the money back from getting that little egg of his cancelled. Lurkers are being morphed in 8 at a time, but they're going to get caught here by the ghost. Now we'll get sniped on top of that. Bang, bang, bang. You're dead. GG gets called as Clem is going to be winning this game in a fantastic fashion. I really enjoy watching him play this heavy ghost mine style with those Liberators mixed in off of a very high momentum mid game. Something that Clem seems to be the only player capable of doing that. Alright, that's actually going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy this game. If you did, don't forget to like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and I'll see you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.